What's up, folks? This is HitPointsGaming, podcast about the cost of video games, current day and retro. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Corey, how you doing?
Excellent, Doug. I'm glad to be back for this episode.
Awesome. So Corey was out last time. He was not feeling too well. We are happy to have him back. Make sure you check out youtube.com/HitPointsGaming as well as HitPointsGaming on the Spreaker Filling the Void podcast network. First, as always, what have you guys been up to? Chris, we'll start with you.
I'm still doing the same stuff, man. I'm still playing Heroes of the Storm. There's a big tournament going on soon. We're kind of like cheering on what team you want, to win in the international league. PUBG is still a lot of fun. Really enjoying that. I'm really upset that I'm enjoying it so much because it's such a large game. I want to get back into like indie game kind of scene, but it's just so much fun, man. When you have like 1 or 3 other people to play with, it's just such a blast. And hopefully we'll be having someone else join us soon, so it'll be even more fun.
Yeah, you might have 2 more players to the pool.
I can't wait.
Including myself and Mr. Jake. Hey, Corey, what have you been up to?
I'm just going to continue off of that whole PUBG thing. There's so many games that I want to play, but when everyone's online playing PUBG, it's just so much fun. It takes up every night that I'm playing, but that's a good sign. It's a good sign that it's a great game. What I picked up that new game called Pyre from Supergiant Games.
Okay. Same
Makers of Bastion and Transistor. And it's pretty cool. There's this whole 3-on-3 sports type game. Blitzball meets NBA Jam kind of ish. It's a lot of fun, but in between these actual gaming events, there's a lot of dialogue that occurs. And I'm not against dialogue, but it's the same thing every time. So it's like if I want to jump into a game, I know I have to have 20 minutes because I have to go through the same 4 or 5 sets of dialogue. It's always, hey, let's go talk outside. Let's look up into the stars. Let's join together. Let's beat these guys. It's the same thing. So I don't know if that's going to change down the road. I'm slightly disappointed in the game as a whole, but the actual action of the game is a lot of fun.
Do you have to actually do the dialogue? Does that change anything?
Sometimes you have to. You have different choices that you have to select on things, and it gives you different abilities and items, and you don't really want to miss a conversation because there is your chance to unlock something. But I'm at the point now where it's just like, okay, A. Just keep progressing it. Unfortunately, I don't like doing that in games, but I want to get into why I purchased it,
Okay.
Just kind of weird. And the one other thing I want to touch base on is this hidden gem of a board game, and Doug, you've actually played it with us.
Oh, yeah.
Zaya. What an awesome 4X type board game, like exploring, ship battling, point
trading.
Gathering.
Yeah, it's cool.
Really cool. So we've been playing that for like 3 weeks in a row, and that's kind of what we've been up to.
Word. I personally, like I said, my gaming time now over the past 2 weeks has been severely cut because my baby is able to crawl and stand up on things, like hold the table and stand herself up, and that means that she is under constant surveillance. So I've been playing like games that I don't really care about so much. So I've been playing Ace Combat, Skies of Liberation, which is great, but I don't mind just pausing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm not heavily into something. Like I would never want to play a game like Breath of the Wild. I'm holding out on that because I don't want to have to pause the game every 2 minutes. That's just not really. That's not how I like to play games. So even when I get PUBG, it's gonna be tricky because like it's gonna have to be like, okay, mom, you have to watch the baby while I play games for a couple hours, and that's not always fair either. So
right.
It's tough, man. It's tough. I when I do have the time, I'm trying to play VR stuff because I cannot at all have the baby while I'm doing that. So I've been playing Lone Echo and Echo Arena, which are crazy fantastic. Lone Echo is the single player campaign of that, and you're basically a droid. Right now I'm helping this woman like rebuild her ship because there's some anomaly out in the distance, and just the whole movement system, which we already touched base on, is actually it's cool. So I've been doing some of that. As far as console games goes, Enter the Gungeon. I made it to like the 5th level, and it gets so tough. It gets really hard. But I really want to beat that. I really want to be able to beat it.
That's multiplayer, right? Enter the Gungeon?
Yeah.
Are you playing on Steam?
Though. No.
Oh, okay.
I played. Yeah, my brother got an Xbox and we game share.
Okay.
But that's really it, man. Not too much gaming time, but I do try to fit in what I can. So, on to the topic at hand, which is the cost of games, something that I really am interested to talk about, actually. Let's start with, I guess, like Atari, Nintendo kind of time. I know that the cost of an Atari console was somewhere between like $125 and like $130, but that's back then. So
that's still that's cheap. $130 for a console.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's cheap, but it isn't. You know, you're talking. I don't even know what year that was. I know I had it when I was born, but I know the games are pretty cheap, right, Chris? What did the games go for?
They were like $20 for a game.
Okay, like 20. Damn,
you know?
$20.
They were, they're Atari games, you know. But I mean, at the time, that was video games. You know? Could you imagine going out and spending $20 for like Horizon or Dark Souls? No way.
No. And it is to say that some Atari games are utter crap. Like you might pay $20 for, a generic race game, but a licensed game that's good, like Crawl, you might pay $20. Like, man, this Atari game is great.
Right.
So, I guess it's a gamble, but you do the same gambles today, right?
Yes.
Same thing. What about Nintendo?
Well, the console was what, $200. I think we all three of us had a Nintendo.
Yeah.
That was $200, and the games were like $45 to $60, which is weird that there's a difference,
Well, I know for a fact that in the cartridge era as a whole, cost of games were drastically different from each other. I know for like even 64 NBA Hang Time, and this is something that I remember so specifically, that we went out to get NBA Hang Time for 64, which is like an NBA Jam offshoot, was $80 for that game.
Yeah, that's nuts.
$80, and it was an arcade port at the time, and the 64 version was very close. You know what I mean? So that's a lot of money for an NBA Jam game. $80 for NBA Jam. That's a ton of money.
I remember Street Fighter for Super Nintendo was $80, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 Manhattan Project for NES was $75. And we were so young back then. Like, I didn't buy the games. That's when it was like, oh, here's your birthday. You can go pick a game. Okay, great. I want this one. Oh, this one happens to be $75. Sorry, Dad. That's the one that I want.
Right.
So it didn't really affect us growing up, but we were kind of aware of the pricing. But I think maybe a generation after that, it's just like $60 was the price. It moved on to there was a flat rate, except for I think Nintendo was always $50.
Well, I want to say that like PS1, like PlayStation, was like the 39, 39
disc. They were CDs.
Discs? Yeah, I think they were 39 at the time, and then once you got to PS2, that's when it became the 50, and that was a long stretch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. That was a long stretch of GameCube, PS2, and OG Xbox, where like $49.99 is a game, and I believe it came out to $52 even with tax. You know what? I'm almost 100% positive of that. And it wasn't until mid 360, or no, or was it the beginning where games were $60?
I think it was the beginning.
It was the beginning, okay. And that $50 I think was just standard for so long that when it went to 60, it was kind of like, man, this is expensive now. But I felt like when you got a game for $60 and it was Oblivion, it was like
that was the best deal ever.
It's the best game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Paying $60 for Oblivion, even and not even talking about game length, but if you look at games like Condemned, like that game showed off the power of the console in the beginning. Really did. Perfect Dark Zero, not so much. Right? The game was terrible. But games like Condemned, you were excited to play at the time. So $60 was like, man, like that was great. But in retrospect to like Super Nintendo and Sega, for games to be $40, I mean, back then $40 was a little bit more money.
Yes. Yeah.
But again, it was the height of technology at the time. So when you go from Nintendo to Pilot Wings, which was great, and Pilot Wings was fairly straightforward.
Yep.
But then you look at a game like Mega Man X or Contra 3, like blows everything out of the water. Or Gunstar Hero, stuff like that. Chris, what do you feel about?
I remember buying Gunstar Heroes in GameStop, and it was $20. Now, and it was new, and I don't know if it was a sale or whatever, but like I absolutely love Gunstar Heroes. It's still one of my favorite games out there. And it was $20. I don't remember. I think it was. I don't know.
GameStop back then, really?
I don't know. It could have been. Okay. I just remember
Babbage's?
going in the mall. Yeah, maybe it was Babbage's. It was in
Babbage's.
the mall, all the way back in the back corner where no one goes.
That was Babbage's.
Yeah.
That was Babbage's.
But like, yeah, you're absolutely right, because there was Super Nintendo games out there that were $80. But most of them weren't that price. But you're paying for the technology. You were paying for a cartridge, and cartridges were expensive. 4 megabytes, 6 megabytes of memory. That was not cheap back then. And you're paying $80 for a game that is a Final Fantasy. Like huge, lots of game length, a lot of things in the game to be involved with. But then when PlayStation came out, you're on a disc. Discs were they were like $2-3 back then, and now they're like 10 cents. But like they were a whole lot cheaper than game carts, and then they passed that discount on to us, the gamers.
Right.
Which is pretty cool, because I didn't think they would. When you go back and think about how they're trying just to get money out of us.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen today. If they found the new medium for games for PlayStation 5 and Xbox, whatever number they decide to put on it, there's no way it would be cheaper.
Well, they've already got a new medium. Not to progress, 20 years in the future from what we're talking about. They've already got a medium. They have the internet.
Yep.
They pay for a server, right? Like.
Yeah,
well, think of it this way. You've got digital games the same price of a physical copy.
That's what I'm saying.
How is that?
That's exactly what I'm saying. We would not see the discount. We would not. No. Because right now, if I go to GameStop and buy Horizon, I'm paying $60 for a box. I guess there's no manuals, so we'll insert inserts for DLC and a disc. Whereas if I bought it digitally, you get none of that, and still, it's the same.
Yep.
That to me is wild. By the way, that like I would, and I'm the guy who'd pay $65 for a disc. I really am, because I like to have my collection of games. You know what I mean?
Yes. I want to look at them. Yep.
I want to look at them. I want to go grab it off the shelf. And at some point, me being a future, kind of afraid in the future, one day, maybe you can't play them on that console. Right. I know I lost a ton, well, at least I will lose a ton of the indie games on Xbox 360. Not Xbox Live Arcade, but the ones that were like $1. Because you won't be able to, you have to authenticate those. So I'm going to lose like 40 games, that I just can't play anymore.
Okay.
And even there's even been games on Xbox Live Marketplace. I think Scott Pilgrim is one of them, that if I deleted that off my hard drive right now, I can't re-download it. It's off the market. So that's why disc. To me, still, I want that.
Right. And then there's also with disc, it's a tangible item, and I can say, hey, Doug, this game's really good. How about you play it? And I hand it off to you.
Yeah.
Like there's that opportunity. There's that opportunity out there for, reselling it. Mm-hmm. Hey, I liked it. I beat it. Let me get some money back, recuperate that. But there is nothing with digital, and yet they still charge the same price. There's no distribution. There's no nothing. Here's a server. It's online. Tie it to their server. Is done.
Yeah, that's kind of wild to me that's how it goes. As far as the price point for games is the same digitally. But then again, now with the indie market, we're getting games for $20.
Yeah.
$50. What PUBG is $30?
$30.
$30.
The game Corey and I are spending every night with the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
$30.
Yeah, and it's an indie game, but it took off like crazy. They could easily charge more for it, but it's not done, right? So they they won't really put that $6 price tag on it. But $30
there
for
are games similar to it.
game.
PUBG is just an online game. It's only an online experience. So if they don't have servers, it's not going to work. But there's also games just like that. Isn't there a Call of Duty that's only online? There's no single player. Battlefront, some Battlefront games are only online. There's no single players. So and those games charge $60. So it's hard to say, oh, well, I'm only paying $30 or $40 for this game because it's only online. Or it's only single player. There's other people who've done that, and I guess it's maybe they're a bigger IP, they have more market share, that they can charge $60 for either an online or offline kind of game, but it's just not right. Exactly.
The first Titanfall was only an online game, $60.
Yeah.
So that doesn't work for me. But speaking of current gen, you pay $60 for that disc and that box. That's not the whole game ever.
Right.
Ever. Now, we're talking. I guess I got two examples of this. Games now are not $60. Games now can easily run you $100. Easy.
How so? Explain.
Well, you have a game like Star Wars Battlefront where the game was $60, only online, right? No single player. But the season pass was $50. Which at the time was the most expensive one ever released. $50. That's a $110 game. And you couldn't even buy the DLC that you wanted or the characters piece by piece. They were like, you get nothing or you're paying this $50 to unlock basically skins. You know what I mean? That's kind of insane to me.
Now, Corey, you played the Star Wars. Did you partake in any of that?
I did. I did not purchase it. It was gifted to me, the season pass. And it was a must to enjoy that game.
Okay.
That game was rushed, and it's been told to us all. The game was rushed, of course, because that's when the movie came out. They wanted it out by then. It was not finished. All the extra maps, all the extra characters, that should have been in the game. There should have been a single player. Absolutely. The game was fantastic. I absolutely love it. And I'm really looking forward to the second one because they're taking their time. There's going to be a great single-player mission, storyline in it. And you could eventually buy the expansions that you wanted for like $15 a piece, but it just didn't make sense if you pieced it out that way. It was great, but I felt like everyone knew we were getting taken advantage of.
Okay.
And it's a shame how games now, in order to participate in the full game, you're right, it's running you $110. What I don't see anymore, because the three of us, we all worked at GameStop. We know the cost of games and a lot of things about like collector's editions. Actually, I see a decline in collector's editions. A few years ago, all the big title games, there would be $100 or $120 version of a game, but you're getting all this extra stuff. Statues, art books, extra skins, like everything. It's not really additional game content, but more tangible things. And hey, okay, I'll see spending $40 or $50 more because I choose to want more stuff. Now, that's gone. Companies don't even care about giving you more stuff. It's just like, you want to play the full game, now you got to pay $110, $120 because we've got DLC planned for the next year that really should have been included in the game, but we know you're going to pay for it.
Right. And one of the biggest offenses it's come to the genre that I love, which is fighting games, because there's no way that your fighting game characters aren't ready. There's no way that they're not there. You know what I mean? You're paying for an unlock key to unlock fighting game characters, and Injustice 2 is actually the biggest offender right now, which was, there's a picture, when you go to buy the game and it's like you get the full game. That's what it says. There's like 3 tiers. Full game, $60. The next one up was plus 3 characters, was like it was like $90. And then the next one up was like $120 for 9 additional characters. So it's like, in a fighting game, I'm not getting the full game without all the characters to play as.
Yeah.
It's very simple. If you want to hold back skins or colors, you know what I mean? You want Superman to wear green and white? Fine. I really don't need that. No one needs that. Mind you, in the past, you would have to beat story mode to unlock a color, beat story mode on hard to unlock a better color, or
Marvel vs. Capcom 2, you played the game like 50 hours to get all the characters.
Yeah, you had to go to that roulette. You had to go to the roulette, and everything was in there. Now, can you imagine if they released that now with that many characters to unlock? What was there, like 30, like 20 or 30 guys?
A ton of characters in the game, yeah.
So you would be paying for all of that. All of it now. And they did it with Street Fighter Cross Tekken. A bunch of guys were unlocking the characters because they were already on disc. I remember going to a tournament and all the DLC guys were playable like a month before because people found them on the disc. And it was like, what are you charging me for if they're here? If they're here. You're not balancing them anymore. They're here. And you can put out a balance patch whenever you want to change that stuff. But when you have, so let's look at a game that $60 was probably the best value for $60 I've played in the past. I can't even remember, which was The Witcher 3.
Yep.
The Witcher 3, I put 100 hours into without touching any DLC. I didn't even get close to doing everything, but at my pace and how I personally enjoyed the game, it took 100, maybe like 110 hours. That game for $60 is easily, and mind you, you could do the same thing for Skyrim, right?
Right.
A long time, but I just found The Witcher to be just holy crap as far as the amount that you got. And the DLCs that they released for $20 were like 20 hours long. That's a ton. You're
stealing from them, it sounds like.
Yeah, they are providing just a ton of stuff. So you'd be paying $20 for skins and characters. I paid $20 for 20 additional hours of story, which is that's insane.
And that's what DLC I don't think any of us mind. The game comes out, It's got a lot of content, and I don't even care if it's a lot of content in the forms of like give me a 10-hour third-person shooter game with a storyline like The Last of Us or Uncharted. That's fine. But have the DLC come out a year and a half later, 2 years later, and give me some more content. I do not mind playing that. But if you got the content out when the game comes out, there's an issue. Like Resident Evil, right? That was the first one that I remember where the content was actually on the CD.
Yeah.
And you just had to pay to unlock it. Whoa. So I'm paying for this content twice, technically?
Absolutely.
That is where I know a lot of gamers get upset.
Right.
And Resident Evil, I think it was Resident Evil 5, the content you unlocked was like a multiplayer mode. You know what I mean? Like a versus mode. Like how is that not in there? How is that not in there? But the age of unlocking things is mostly completely gone. That just doesn't exist. And this brings me to another point of like it only happens in this industry, right? You go to the store, you buy a game, you look at the box. Okay. Only to go home to realize that as soon as you boot it up, you get a splash screen that says Season Pass, $30 to unlock this stuff. Now, mind you, the stuff could be on disc. It's there. Extra maps, like shooters, I guess it's like mostly extra maps and weapons. But like, I feel like that should be illegal. I feel like that should be illegal because you don't go buy a refrigerator, bring it home, plug it in, and something says, if you want to unlock the ice maker, phone Samsung and pay an extra $30. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Like back in the day, you wouldn't have done that. You would have bought a game. I would have bought Gunstar Heroes, and that would have been the game. I would have played it to unlock a new skin. Or, beat it on normal to unlock hard, which had an extra level at the end.
Yeah, they got the full ending.
Right. And that was $40 or $60. Right. That was not $60 plus more.
Yeah. And in any case, you realize a game like Gunstar Heroes or Contra, you can probably beat in under an hour. But could you really? If you played Contra or something like that for the first time growing up, you're not beating that game the first time you play it. You have to keep starting over. But still, that's just the way games were. So gameplay technically was a long time. It might take you. I mean, I didn't beat Battletoads. I was 26 years old. That was the best value ever. You know what I mean? But it kills me that it is not mandatory in that industry for you to put on the box what is missing.
Right.
Because it's already been come out that DLC is a planned thing that they know before they release the game. So I feel like, and we can have a whole podcast on this, but I feel like that should be like illegal for them to do that to you. Because it's not good business practice in any other industry that we can think of. No, you buy a car, and to unlock the spare tire, you have to call them and say, "Hey, can you bring the key to unlock this? I have a flat tire."
Right.
So it's how do you feel, Chris, about the contrast in regards to, say, something like PS1, like a Metal Gear or a Siphon Filter versus like a Call of Duty, and the cost?
Well, yeah, like those games had a lot more. They were story games, so like you would experience that yourself. Whereas Call of Duty, you're playing online. Online could be an unlimited amount of gameplay. You know, but you're hoping that they pay for the servers, they keep them up.
Right.
You know, this so goes kind of back to what you were saying about having a game on disk or on your hard drive. You know, like, am I going to be able to connect to the servers to play this game, or I have the disc so I can play it in 20 years as long as my console works, you know?
Yeah. And I think that longevity, at least to me, is important. Even like, you know, you have a game like Battlefront. At some point, you're not going to be able to play anymore.
And Corey, you spent all that money on that, and you invested in that. Like, now you can't play it. You know, what do you do?
Exactly. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
How long will it be? Like, yeah, Battlefront, I'm sure they're not going to cut the servers as soon as Battlefront 2 comes out like they used to do for 2K. They used to cut them like the next day for basketball games. They used to cut them immediately. So I'm positive they won't do that. But, you know, like I said, at some point, that sucks. It sucks.
Yeah.
And I feel it's so easy to look back and be like, you know, games are so expensive now. But for the most part, you do get a great value on a lot of games, you know.
But it depends on the market. It depends, like Call of Duty. That's a great game as long as you can play online.
Yeah,
the moment you can't play that online, you lose all your value.
That campaign is maybe 4 hours, 5.
Some of them, if that, yeah.
Between 5, I would say between 4 and 6 hours. Those campaigns, you can blitz through them quick, but they are good.
Oh, they're amazing. Some of them are amazing.
I think Call of Duty, as far as campaigns go, like the first Modern Warfare, just completely on another level.
Oh yeah, completely.
You know what I mean? Like, this is our standard now for shooter campaigns, and no one really has lived up to it. Gears is good and it's fun, but they haven't gotten that cinematic, ridiculous experience that Call of Duty.
I think because it's not real, you know. Not to digress so much, but it's not so real, you know. Whereas Call of Duty, it feels real, except for it being space, you know. But that's a whole other thing.
Right.
But it's kind of hard to say too, because Call of Duty and any sports game, you pay and you buy it for the year. Call of Duty does not last more than a year.
It's expensive.
Basketball, until the next one comes out, and you have to buy that. You know, like you can't play an old Call of Duty, you can't play NBA 2K14. You know, like you have to go play whatever the most recent one is, because that's what everyone's playing, you know. So that's why I guess they take the servers off. They're only committing to, you know, people playing NBA 2K14 are 20,000 people. Well, we're not paying for them to play anymore. You go buy the new game.
Yeah. And I mean, and it sucks that they would do that to people who maybe just don't want the new one yet.
Yeah.
You know,
I paid $60 for this game. Let me play it.
And it really wasn't like a week or like a month that they would do it. Like, some people didn't buy it yet. They literally just didn't buy it yet, and they can't play with their friends until
they get paid yet. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for real. Like, that's wild to me. That's wild to me. But from a content overall from a content perspective, you look at an Atari game that you might have paid $25 for. At the time, you might have got a lot of enjoyment out of it. You know what I mean? A game like Adventure was tough. Multiplayer games back then specifically, like, you might have played those games for a while. You might have played Combat with your brother for 3 or 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
You know,
Pong. I played hours of Pong, and that game was super old by the time Atari was out. You know, and for me, I played hours and hours of that game. Pitfall. You know, like these crappy games, $20, they were amazing. You know.
Right, and now $20 can get you something like Dead Cells or like another indie Metroidvania style game, which like are like Jotun. Like those games are great. The art style is great. It definitely feels like a full experience. So I guess all in all, depending on the genre is a big thing. Like think about Street Fighter, right? Street Fighter 4 was out with multiple iterations for almost 10 years. It was like 8 or 9 years, right? Before 5. Now you paid for Street Fighter like Super Street Fighter 4, which was I think that was $40 though. It wasn't a full price game. Then you paid for Arcade Edition, which was 20. Or that was 4 more. Like the first edition added like 20 guys. That was huge. Then you added 4 guys for like $20 and the latest balance changes. And then Ultra came out for 20 down the line. So, all in all, Street Fighter, and I'm totally biased in regards to this. Like, yeah, I did pay like $140 for Street Fighter 4, right? But in that thing, over the course of 8 years,
right,
that really isn't a lot. And that was a huge game that revitalized the entire fighting game genre. Evo is bigger than it's ever been. Mortal Kombat's back. Everything is back. So I didn't mind getting those iterations with the new guys in it over that amount of time. What I do mind is you releasing the game and telling me that this character on day one is $5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that kind of sucks. But that's the market that we live in. Chris, what do you feel? You have any closing thoughts?
Well, I just wanted to bring it back to Core. He's been playing Darkest Dungeon, and he paid what, $20 for that game?
I think so. I actually think I got it on sale for maybe like 15 or something like that.
Yeah, there's sales now too. Like, not to mention sales, But now that you paid $15, $20 for that game, where do you think that goes in the $60 market? Like, is that the same? Did you play that game as much as you played, Horizon's Dawn or Zero Horizon Dawn? Like, where's the value?
Yeah, it's rough. It's. I think you're really paying. Well, all right, sorry. Take a step back. Darkest Dungeon, I might have put maybe 35, 40 hours into it, which is great for a $15 game. You're really paying today for what you enjoy. Obviously, that's what you do. I wouldn't mind paying $80, $100 for a large game that everyone's gonna play. Bring back an awesome World of Warcraft again, where I can get all my buddies together. Give me an amazing PUBG experience. I'll pay more for that.
Yeah.
I'll pay $15 for a game that's amazing, that's 3 hours long. I don't really care. I think today we just have to. We're very selective in our games, but
especially now because we're paying for them ourselves.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and we have just so much limited time to play now. You just have to be. You really have to pick and choose. But I think the bottom line is we're just kind of stuck in this this crutch of whatever they're going to charge us. We're either going to pay it and play. You know what I mean? Like we just paid $30 for PUBG in an alpha. But it's a lot of fun and I'll play. But you've got those hidden gems that are $10, $15 that are just as good.
Right, and also, a lot of people will play to be a part of the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a part of the new thing. This is the new game that everyone's playing. I never played the genre before, but I got to get in there because, I'm a streamer and people want me to play. People want to see me play this thing. Like, oh my God, everybody's switched from Hearthstone to Gwent. So I better get Gwent, even though I don't, So I guess those kind of things also add to people's value and what they're willing to pay for. I'm very selective with what I buy now. Like if I see a game, like I said, I still haven't bought Zelda. I still haven't bought Horizon, or I haven't played a single Uncharted, which I should because I can get those cheap now.
Yeah,
I can get those cheap. But again, like VR games, man, I'll wait for months for those things to come down in price before I jump in, because those games, they're great and they're kind of a brand new medium, but man, the value of the time of the game versus what you pay is complete trash. But was it good? You know, pay $20 for a game that was 2 hours long. Was it a great experience? Yeah, man,
Right.
you got to try it. But please come to my house and try it. Don't pay for it. Kind of how I feel. So, Corey, do you have any like particular closing thoughts? You good?
I think I'm good. The thing is, we just know that there's so many games out there today. If you don't want to pay the top dollar price to get in there first and be a part of that buzz, that's really what you're paying for. You're paying to be a part of that initial buzz. You wait it out. Games are gonna go down in price. More games come out every day now, especially all the indie games. So if it's hurting your wallet, wait a month, 2 months, a year from now, and you're gonna pick it up for dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I never even thought of it. Yeah, you literally are paying the full price to be there first.
Because I mean, games go on sale for 20, like from 60 to 40 within just a few weeks.
They do.
You know?
Yeah, for real. So I guess that's about it, man. Talking about the price of games. Make sure you check us out one more time on youtube.com/HitPointsGaming and the Filling the Void podcast network on Spreaker. I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation, and we'll be back in 2 weeks with something else awesome. Take it easy, folks.